type in Safe Blood Arena, and you can listen to the past editions of the program, and I'm sure that you learn one or two things that you need to know. All right, so on the program today, we have back in the studio, we have the Executive Secretary, Dr. Bodunrin Osikomaya. Good evening, welcome.
I am so excited to be back here.
I know, somebody said you love radio.
Kind of.
But I just told the person that I think it's just because you love what you're doing.
Yes. And there's so much to do.
Yes, there's so much.
We need everybody to help us out.
Yes. You're welcome again. So that's Dr. Bodunrin Osikomaya, the Executive Secretary, Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service. And I also have Mr. Oluwole Olatubi, the Head of Programs, LSBTC. Good evening again. Welcome. You're a regular. So.
Good evening, Lagos. Good evening, everybody.
All right, so today on the program, we're discussing Lagos State Blood Transfusion Committee, the inception and the sustainability of that committee. So that's what we'll be dwelling on today on the program. So let me start by asking, as the Executive Secretary, what was the blood practice before the creation of the law establishing LSBTC?
So, for people listening, the law is our foundation for these agencies to function effectively. So, before the law that created the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Committee came up, there was poorly regulated practice. In short, there was no regulation of the blood transfusion practices. There were no guidelines on how to transfuse blood. There was no guidelines on how to process blood. There was very, very poor means of testing for TTIs, that's the transfusion transmissible infectious agents. And even if there was testing, they would only test for HIV 1 and 2. And that was because at that time they had NGOs, as non-governmental organizations, providing free testing kits. So based on this, there was a lot of infections. People were just getting infections and giving it to other people, and it was really bad. Apart from that, there was so much commercial donations. That is people collecting money without assessment. Even those that were not collecting money for blood donation, that's family members or voluntary donors, they were not well assessed and we're having more complications. People would donate blood, they would faint, and things like that. There are a lot of infections while transfusing blood. So it was really bad. And it was based on this that the governor at that time, who is our president now, is our president, Bola Tinubu, came up with the idea, something needs to be done. The Commissioner of Health, the hematologists, scientists at that time got together and thought that they should move ahead to create a law for this. Thank you.
So let's have an overview on the creation of the committee, the LSBTC.
Yes. So first of all, there was a need. We talked about the need. And then after that, people were gotten together like a committee for them to draft. First of all, to investigate and ask about how it is being done in other countries. This was done as far as 1995, 1996. And if we read the history of it, the Blood Transfusion Committee just didn't start in 2004. So for you to know, the law finally was put into bill in 2004. So before then, from 1996, the committee was gotten together, and then it went on, and there were drafts, guidelines were formed. From the guidelines, we had standard operating procedures, and then policies were formed. So after those policies, they put all of them together and they took it to the House of Assembly. And finally, in the 2004 June, a bill was passed for the establishment of the Blood Transfusion Committee. So it's just like the normal legislative processes. We didn't just wake up one day. We tried it, we tested it, and when we found out that it was workable, then the House of Assembly accepted that the bill should be a law.
Now, not much has been heard about this committee, but let's find out from you, what is the composition of the committee, and tell us a bit about their functions.
Yeah, I like that statement that not much has been heard, because the committee is actually the board. For every Lagos State parastatal, which is like an arm of government. This agency, which is Lagos State Blood Transfusion Committee, has a parent body in the Ministry of Health. So the Ministry of Health is our parent body. So because we are a parastatal under the Lagos State Ministry of Health, we have a board that helps us to coordinate activities. So the last board was during Governor Akinwumi this time. After that, we've not had a board, but we're having a board very soon. It's ticking. A lot of things. I'm sure you must have heard in the news that the Honorable Commissioner of Health set up a committee, an advisory committee, to ensure that every health parastatal or MDA has a board governing them, because it will help for us to implement the things we need to do easily. So we have not had the board for a while. So the composition of the board consists of people from different sectors. So first of all, we have a chairman. So the chairman must be a medical personnel with at least 10-year experience that has a flair for blood transfusion. So it might be a gynecologist that has a flair for blood transfusion, might be a hematologist, might even be a community health physician. Like our former board chairman was a community health physician, but she had the flair for blood transfusion services. So after that, we have representatives of hospital governing board, because blood is used in every hospital. So somebody needs to represent the end users in the hospitals there. We have associations like Nigerian Medical Association. Doctors prescribe blood. So key stakeholders like doctors are part of it. Then we have the Medical Laboratory Scientists of Nigeria. They are the ones that would process the blood in the lab. So they're also represented in the committee. We have NGOs. A lot of NGOs work with us. At now, we have about 80 NGOs that are actively working with the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service committee to get blood. And so we have a representative, and we have the Nigerian Red Cross Society. So the Nigerian Red Cross Society, people always say, I did not an NGO. These people are humanitarian organizations. It's just a humanitarian organization. They are separate from NGOs. So there are other NGOs that help us. We have NGOs like IMA Health. We have NGOs like Timileni Foundation. We have NGOs like Lifesaver. So there are so many NGOs, Muslim organizations. We have lots of them. And then we have the executive secretary, that is me, helping to oversee all the things that the board have said. And there's just one set of people that we've not mentioned, the nurses. They transfuse the blood. At each time the doctors prescribe blood, who is at the bedside? The nurses. They are there all through. Doctors will prescribe, set the line, commence it, spend about maybe 15 minutes with the patient, but remaining 4 hours of blood transfusion at the nurses. So that is the composition of the board. So what are their functions? Their functions are first of all regulatory. So they need to know, are they doing the right thing? What does the law say? What is the tenets of the law? What is the mandate? Are we fulfilling the mandate? If we are not fulfilling the mandate, what can be done about it? Apart from that, the committee also licenses blood banks. You know, we have a lot of private blood bankers supporting. So we need to license them. We need to. It's also part of the regulatory aspect of this function. The committee ensures that quality assurance activities are done. Even if we are regulating them, is the blood really as good as it should be, or it is not as good as it should be? We do a lot of training. If you look at our platforms, they did a lot of training. We train both medical and non-medical personnel. We also advise. We advise the government on things to do, types of equipment to use. For example, before now, we're not using things like the automated blood collecting machine called the apheresis. It's not included in the law, but because we have a right to advise the government, things have changed. Technology is actually taking over things.
True.
It's high time we begin to license organizations to collect blood automatedly, as in fully automated ways, and then process to come into, before we're doing it in this way. Well, we don't want to do it this way any longer. We want to do it in another way. Before, we're taking blood in single bags. And now, we know that a unit of blood saves 3 lives. So the committee advised the government that now we don't need to take just 1 unit alone and process it. We can separate it into 3 to ensure that more people have blood. So the functions of the committee is a lot, and to me, I always tell people that I don't think the committee has been able to implement 80% of the law, because the law is really
it's a lot. Yes.
And everything.
So now, for interested organizations who are most likely stakeholders as well, organizations and persons, how can they also ensure the sustainability of LSBTC's mission and vision statement?
Yeah, so what's our vision? First of all, the vision of the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Committee to ensure that there's availability of safe blood in all accredited healthcare facilities. So 2 things are there. First of all, blood must be safe. The second thing is it must be transfused or collected or processed in an accredited healthcare facility. And that is where we have organizations like a pharma hoping to ensure that hospitals that transfuse blood are doing it in the right environment. We're thinking of personnel. They call us when they notice things like that. And then the blood safety is another issue. So when it comes to blood safety, it's embedded in our mission statement. So the mission statement is that we have availability of safe blood, and it is gotten through what? Voluntary blood donation. That's the first thing. Number 2, that it is processed in the right way, and processing comes from the way it is collected, the way we separate it into 3, the way we do those things called grouping and cross-matching. That's the compatibility test. The way the blood is stored, it must be in cold chain. Quality assurance tests like testing for infections, generally, apart from the TTIs, to ensure that blood is well labeled, to ensure that if there is a problem too, things like immovigilance is reported back to us. And then another thing about the mission statement is to test it for transfusion transmissible infectious agents through the World Health Organization accredited processes. And then talk about regulation too. So how can organizations help us in those ways? From the blood collection, we are here telling everybody listening there, please donate blood, save lives. Blood cannot be processed in any factory. It can only be gotten from the individual. We also encourage organizations to help us to enlighten the public that when the blood is processed, it goes through various things. You might need to pay a token for the tests, and which has already been subsidized by the government. We encourage organizations to join us, like in public-private partnerships. The screening of blood is a well-structured public-private partnership, such that they help us to ensure continuity and sustainability of the screening processes. We have organizations that support us in so many things like that. So every time they come, we look at where every organization can feel the need for us, from the advocacy to the donation itself to the processing, even till the blood is used.
All right. We've been talking for quite a bit. It's still Safe Blood Arena on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM, and we've been discussing or speaking with the Executive Secretary, Dr. Bodunrin Osikomaya. Quickly, just this quick update. This one came in a while back. It's from the Masha-Aguda axis. We have a good traffic situation within that axis. But Thamas Junction, inward and outward, Babs and Masha to Doyo relay is looking okay. And Masha under the bridge to Ogulano and Lawansin down to Otomba is still appreciable. And movement from Census inward Olatunde Onimole to Ayetoro to Nepa Junction is also looking good. We also have good flow at Seleo, Kotale Bridge and Oshodi Expressway. No record of impediment right now, and we have traffic managers fully on ground doing the needful. Finally, before I move over to Mr. Olatubi to ask a question, what has been your greatest challenge as the Executive Secretary overseeing the activities of LSBTS, and how have you handled and addressed those challenges?
Well, that is a great question. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you very much. The greatest challenge I have, as well as many other executive secretaries, is the fact that we don't have a blood donation culture. So there's a poor blood donation. Even amongst healthcare personnel that use blood, nobody wants to donate blood. I don't know. There are myths, there are fears, there's this reluctance, and so it's really a big challenge. And because of this, advocacy needs to be done.
Okay.
So
that's continuous,
and that is another great challenge, that there's poor advocacy or inadequate advocacy. Rather, the advocacy as because of this inadequate advocacy, that we don't have adequate or enough blood. I'm sure I always sing this to everybody, that how much blood do we need in Lagos State? The World Health Organization mandates that 1 to 2% of the population in that environment, what is needed for transfusion. So in Lagos State, if we use, should we use 20 million, 22 million?
No, let's use about 23 million, right?
Let's use 23 million. So with 23 million,
because I'm sure we're way above that already.
Yeah, I agree. So if we use 23 million, so we need at least 230,000 units. That is the list. That is 1% of that. And last year, we collected about 130,000 units. Wow. So we had the shortfall of 100,000. Wow. So advocacies are going on. It's still not enough to help us meet the proposed demand for Lagos State. And this has also caused poor advocacy too, has caused a lot of misinformation. People will say, oh, if you donate your blood, something will happen to the blood, or they sell blood, or this, I give the blood free of charge. There's really inadequate advocacy for what's up on the processing of blood. So what have I, as an individual, have done about it? Well, I'm happy that I'm here on Traffic Credo. We have been coming here every Monday throughout this year. Look, when you said we've done 90 weeks, I'm like, oh, how time flies. And I would love to do this over and over again. So come here to talk about issues concerning blood, challenges, our achievements. We call people to speak tell our stories for us. Before now, in the past 1 month, I don't think we've had Lagos State Blood Transfusion officials come up here. We have had other people tell our stories for us. Some of them have even gone ahead to mention some of our challenges, which we are not ashamed to talk about. We are here to talk about it, to strengthen things. We have a lot of non-governmental organizations and humanitarian organizations like the Nigerian Red Cross supporting us with advocacy. They go to places we cannot get to. So we have volunteers that come to help us out. Right now we have a pool of about 40 volunteers working with BTS, the Blood Transfusion Service. They're not employed by Lagos State, but they have a flex. Some of them have their personal jobs elsewhere. Some of them are business owners, and during their free time they come. Some of them don't even have jobs, but they're like, well, instead of staying at home while I'm waiting for a job, I just want to help in saving lives. So we encourage all of them to help us out, and we encourage companies to do corporate social responsibilities. And in doing that, we continue to talk about it and advocate for it. We join churches and mosques, religious organizations, to tell their members it is still not enough. Until we're able to meet that 230,000 mark, we still have to do more. No matter how it feels that Lagos State is collecting so much blood compared to other states, people need to understand that even though the number seems to be a lot, our demand is high. We have a lot of specialist organizations here. We have a lot of accidents. This is a mega city, and mega cities have a lot of need for blood. Apart from that, there's health tourism. People are traveling out. They will go for bone marrow transplants. They will go for treatments, but they need to come back home to continue on the management of their, and they need blood for things like that. So that's one major challenge. The other one is the high cost of processing blood. It is expensive to process blood. So expensive all around the world, how expensive this is. And I'm using this opportunity to thank Mr. Governor for his magnanimity. He has been awesome to Lagosians through the Lagos Blood Transfusion Service. He has given us funds to subsidize the cost of blood. People talk about subsidy, that why should you subsidize fuel? Why should you subsidize this? That look, fuel is you have an alternative to fall. I can decide to trek. I can decide to buy a bicycle. Understand? So if people do not support the need for subsidy for fuel, then they should know that things like blood, it is life-saving. There is no alternative to it. So Mr. Governor has given subsidies for a life-saving item, and that is blood. So if you go to private blood bankers, you can get blood for as much as 30, 40, and yet it's still subsidizing it in a way. And so we encourage many people to donate in the public hospitals where there's as much as 80% subsidy for blood, so that you can get blood at a cheaper rate and a safer rate, because we don't do commercial donation at all. We regulate the private blood bankers and ensure that replacement donation is done the right way. So it's a lot. Apart from that, Mr. Governor has made blood free for some people, disaster victims. Recently, we had the gas explosion. Every unit of blood used during the gas explosion that got to our facilities were given without need for payment. And immediately we heard that some people were paying. We stopped them. No, you shouldn't do that. Mr. Governor has made this free of charge. Look at illnesses like sickle cell anemia. It's not their fault. Mr. Governor has made blood available for them without payment. So we were able to let Mr. Governor know about this. And that is one challenge that I know that Mr. Governor has really, really helped us out to ensure that blood is accessible and available to those that require it.
Okay. Because of time, Mr. Olatubi, we did not leave you out of the conversation.
But my ears are said everything.
Yes. So let's quickly talk, in the few minutes we have, let's quickly talk about how the LSBTS, or has the LSBTS been the sole implementer of the law?
Okay.
Concerning blood donation, voluntary blood donation, all of the everything
of the blood.
The screening and how it is screened and who should have free access to it and all of that. Has LSBTS been the sole implementer?
So we have people that has helped us ensure compliance with the law.
Okay.
So for example, remember she talked about for only about the vision that is only safe blood that will be transfused in accredited healthcare facilities. And I want to serve the accredited health facilities.
Okay.
In Lagos State, we have an agency called the Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency.
That's a FAMA.
A FAMA, thank you very much. That goes to accreditate every healthcare facility in the state. So we have a working relationship with them where they go on our behalf, and if there's any issue as regards blood transfusion practices in that hospital, they revert back to us to investigate. So the farmer is one of those people that ensure compliance. She also mentioned the different regulatory bodies. That's the Nigerian Medical Association, Nigerian Nurses and Midwifery, the Medical Lab Scientists of Nigeria. So we work together with them because they are the practitioners. We also build capacity in them. So all this is just to ensure that at the end of the day, the blood that is transfused is safe. It's done under best practices. We also, so looking at the mission statement, you look screening of blood. She talked about our screening partners. Screening of blood, like she said, I don't repeat it, is very, very expensive. But the most important thing is that doing the right thing and using the right equipment. And you know, when you bring in private people into something, it increases the efficiency of that thing. So, of course, so they help us to ensure that the blood is free from TTIs. Then most importantly, like she said, because it's very important we remember that she said he has no alternative, that the blood has no alternative. You know, I love the example she used. You know, if you want to trek, sometimes if I drop my car, I trek. It's a choice, you know. Right. I could even go on let me leave it at that. But the most important thing is that blood has no substitute. So that's why with our partners, like ensuring that this blood is available, like she mentioned the Red Cross that goes on our behalf to places that we can't even get to. Yes, maybe due to one constitute or the other. So those NGOs, humanitarian organization, as Madam rightly called them. So all these people ensures that we always create a pool of voluntary blood donors, because we find out that these people are the people that are mostly free from transfusion transmissible infections.
Okay.
Because it promotes a healthy lifestyle. The moment you subject yourself to being a blood donor. Exactly. So I think all these people have, and you also, the media. Remember we talked about exactly.
You should have mentioned the media. Please forgive us. Remember that we had a media rally sometime in December, where we saw the effect of the media.
Yes.
Remember what happened during the bus train?
Yes.
The media helped us out. Yes. Mainly the news came out. People rushed in to give blood. Nigerians are usually moved by emotions.
We are good Samaritans. We are good Samaritans in Nigeria, please.
So the media really helped us out to enlighten the public, tell them where to go to. And the media, you are really a strong part of our implementers. You help us out. You tell the good news. You tell the bad news. You put us on our toes. Yes, we really, the bad news, the challenges, the social media talks, it puts us on our toes and it helps us to be better. So we do thank the media. Thanks for mentioning that. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the media, we say you're welcome. All right, because of time, that's all we can take right now. It's always a pleasure having both of you in the studio on the program. Thank you so much for everything that you have been doing. For those of you who have been listening or who have just joined us, we have been speaking with the Executive Secretary, Lagos State Blood Transfusion Service, Dr. Bodunrin Osikomaya, and also the Head of Program, Mr. Oluwole Olatubi. We've been discussing the Lagos State Blood Transfusion Committee, its inception and sustainability. We've been asking questions and those questions have been answered. So if you want to know more about the LSBTS, you can go to their Facebook page. It's Lagos Blood Transfusion. Again, Lagos Blood Transfusion on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Lagos State Blood Transfusion. On Instagram, Lagos State Blood Transfusion. On X is Lagos BTS. On X is Lagos BTS. And telephone number, you can send a message or a voice note or a text message is 0806-920-7914. Again, 0806-920-7914. Again, thank you very much for both of you for coming. And big thanks goes to this program, as I said earlier, is brought to you courtesy Lagos State Blood Transfusion Services. Big thanks goes to Victor Terry, also executive producer Tayo Akwale. My name is Dele Agadumo.